Yes. Yeah, I can do a reply on it. So there's a fair few things that I could list here. So this might be a bit of a jumpy video, but off the top of my head, there's things like increasing the minimum wage to 21.20 per hour. There's the removal of fees from things like NCEA and New Zealand scholarships. There's the recorded improvements across all 9 of the child poverty measures. There's free school lunches, which is always a great thing for people to deal with. There was the winter energy payment coming, and then the new one that's in the latest budget for, was it $350 for people earning less than 70,000 a year. They restored the right to vote for all prisoners to serving less than 3 years. They had that historic free trade deal with the UK, which added like $1 billion to the New Zealand GDP. They improved rural broadband connectivity with, I think it's 300 odd new cell phone towers. They extended the Brightline test to 10 years to dampen what they call speculative demand and tilt the balance towards first home buyers, which we're now seeing the lowering of first home buyer prices. So that's definitely not a bad thing. There was pay equity for teacher aides, the replacement of the upper prison at Waikeria. There was extra funding for mental health support in schools that was rolled out throughout the country, the largest funding boost for the Department of Conservation that the country's ever seen. They removed abortion from the Crimes Act, so they made it a health issue instead of a criminal issue. They changed the Criminal Proceeds Act so that police could now have more power to seize assets in relation to organised crime. They've restored collective bargaining for screen sector workers, as well as the new act that they're doing that allows individuals and collectives to do bargain agreements. They've lifted the gap on gender-affirming surgeries. They've boosted funding to Pharmac. They've almost completely eradicated M. bovis within the New Zealand Farmers Network. They got rid of letting fees and no-clause contract removals for people who were renting. They committed $50 million to completely decarbonise public transport. They've removed barriers for people to get their driver's licence. They have invested more in hospital rebuilds than any government in the last 10 years. They have increased the funding to going for doctors to see young people. So now up to the age of 13, it should be free. And they invested close to $23 billion on things like the wage subsidy, resurgent support payment, and small business cash flow scheme during COVID. So the government has gone through and made a lot of changes, and they're not huge systemic changes along the way, but they've made massive increases. And those things, even things like the wage subsidy, which help keep business afloat, really good for making sure the economy ticks over. That's delivering a lot more than what I personally ever felt we got under National.